watching Let's Chat.
And we told you a few minutes ago we had the opportunity this morning to spend a few moments with Hamilton County Sheriff Jim Hammond. Sheriff Hammond, I would shake your hand, but that's kind of off the table as,
Good morning, Jim.
As you might expect. Hope everything's going well for you, and we've got kind of a hodgepodge of questions here that wanted to ask you right off the bat. Number one, the top, one of the top topics everyone's been talking about is the transition. We went from CCA to Core Civic, and now
Hamilton
you guys
County
are going
Sheriff.
to take it over.
That's right.
Some people might be curious as to why the sheriff's office wasn't running the jail in the first place.
Well, of course, the sheriff does run the jail, but the workhouse is, in this county for a number of years has been under private management. One of the few counties in the whole state that's way, and people wonder why wasn't the sheriff doing it here like everywhere else. But about 5 years ago, the mayor and I had a conversation. He said, listen, it's better served if it's under the sheriff. You got prisoners moving back and forth. So the commissioners voted to let me take over the workhouse, where you've got about 1,200 prisoners out there. I've got 500 downtown in the jail. It just made more sense to consolidate it. But we didn't do a full consolidation. I sent some people out there as oversight, but it was still under a private contract. And about 3 weeks ago, Core Civic announced that as of December, they've decided they want to move on after all these years. They have other interests and new way of doing business. So very quickly, I've got to take it over.
You and your team have been advocating for a while. The jail downtown is not safe. And what we had happen a few weeks ago proved that
Part of the building
crystal clear.
Yeah.
So the new facility, or not the new facility, but what's the biggest obstacle, if you will, between moving the operations from the jail downtown out to the Silverdale?
Probably the timeline. You know, having to do it between now and the last day of December is going to be pretty tough. I think I can make that transition. I think I can bring it in at present cost, if not less. We're going to certainly give a try at that. One of the things that's helping us is we're seeing our numbers down now because of the COVID, and we've had about 500 less prisoners over the last 4 or 5 months. That's going to be a cost savings to help me with renovation and things I need to do. We were already working on a $20 million expansion that the commission approved 2 years ago to do the laundry facilities different, the food, the booking agent. So it's probably the best time. If we've got to do it, this is the best time to do it.
And it's got to be a financially advantageous situation for the sheriff's office.
We're talking about big ticket items.
We were talking before we went on the air. You've been in the sheriff's office now for
coming up on 50 years totally with county government, and actually attached to the sheriff's office a little over 40.
Rattle us off some of the programs that you have been instrumental in developing for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
You know, somebody asked me that the other day, and I started writing down some of them, and I think I've listed over 50 that I was fortunate enough to come up with, say, listen, we need to do business better. Such things as civil service, the bridge plan for officers and their pay, the creation of the corporal position, the drone system, mounted horse patrol, scholarship funds for the officers, chaplain for the jail, chaplain for the road, and I could just go on and on. The latest that is now in the news is a FUSE program, which is our ability to take, right now, about $7 million of federal money to impact over 100 of our inmates who are simply in jail because they have mental health issues.
And people, a lot of people don't get the fact that that's exactly why some of those folks are in jail, because of a mental health illness.
That is. I tell you, there's so many families that are impacted by folks with mental health issues. Prisoners are no exception to the rule. I have moms and dads and brothers and sisters that are just so frustrated that they can't get help for their loved one. And again, you're correct. A lot of them never belong in the jail. They need to be in a mental health treatment program, which this country has failed us on in the last number of years. But with this big grant from the federal government, we're impacted by bringing hospitals, psychiatric services, all kinds of treatment plans in. I think it's going to make a difference.
One thing that's really exciting that we get to be a part of is you guys are putting together a book looking back at 200 years of Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
We are in the 200th year now. It will conclude in October. I have been promised by the publishers the history book will be ready. We did one about 40 years ago. So this is kind of a swan song for me to do a repeat to the history of the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. One of the problems I have with tearing down statues is when you erase your history, the old saying, you're destined to repeat history.
Right.
So we need to learn. There should be places for these. I do agree some of them are not in appropriate places, but we shouldn't erase our history. We need to honor our history in the good points in terms of helping us going forward, and the bad points helping us remember don't do that again.
And hopefully you'll come back and join us when this book is ready for publication. A lot has happened over the 200 years
Yes, they have.
that the sheriff's offices have been in place. One other point I wanted to make this morning also, you have, and I think it's a pretty smart idea, elected to name a
Successor.
Well,
the legal counsel.
General counsel,
Yes.
chief counsel, the official title is?
Actually, I've been burdening so much on the last few years over to the county legal, and there's kind of a small staff. So one day, Reuben Taylor, who's county counsel, of course, for the county legal, he said, you know, have you ever considered having an in-house counsel? And I started looking around at some of the other sheriffs, went to Knoxville, met with Sheriff Spangler. He has 3 lawyers on staff. So based on that and consulting with the commission and the mayor, I advertised, had a number of lawyers apply. We accepted a young lady who comes well represented in terms of her education, her family background in this area, Cody Wamp, who came aboard this morning.
Yeah, and she's got obviously great folks to work for and to work with. I wish we had more time, Sheriff Hammond. We got to leave it there. Unless you want to stick around, and he's got other things to do, more important.
Sure.
Thank you so much for joining us,
Yes.
and thank you for all of your contributions
Absolutely.
to the wonderful Hamilton County that we all live in and love. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 10.